Joining us in the studios. Ambareesh, of course, you've been talking about Mr. Deveshwar. Now let's talk about overall market. And I mean, whether you think that event, do you think it'll have any kind of a bearing on overall sentiment? It seems to be a season of exits. I mean, whether it's Governor Rajan, whether we were talking about Nikesh Arora and what's happening in SoftBank, and now, of course, ITC and their succession plan.
Yes. But yes, I think Brexit fears, although they have eased to a certain extent, but then it is still on. So it's basically touch and go. So I think we have to wait for 23rd and see as to what happens, because the undecided in that holds the key. So in case it actually happens, yes, I think there'll be a knee-jerk reaction, but I don't think it'll stay on for too long at lower levels, because clearly the markets have been bullish, and that's exactly what we saw yesterday also. I mean, the way it bounced back. So I'm not too really worried about whether markets will crack or not. But then, yes, I mean, you'll have one small cut. I mean, in case it happens. But in case it doesn't happen, you'll see the markets at new levels in the sense 8,400.
Above 8,300.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. What about Brexit stocks, so to speak? You know, companies that have significant exposure to that market.
Right.
We're talking about a couple of technology companies, the likes of Tech Mahindra, even the other big players. I mean, everybody has an exposure to UK.
Absolutely.
Then there is the likes of Tata Motors.
Tata Motors and Tata Steel, I think.
Tata Steel. Yeah, there are the pharma companies like Wockhardt, more geared towards UK than others.
Yeah.
So how will you view these stocks?
So in case the exit really happens, then I think there would be a bearish trend for these stocks for a while, and that bearish trend would be longer than what we could see in the like overall market. Overall markets, in case they are down for possibly a week or 10 days, I think these stocks, you'll see that trend a bit longer.
Are any of them a buying opportunity if one does get that dip? I mean, I know this is all conjecture at this point in time. But between the names that we just took,
I would possibly say, in case you see a very decent dip in Tata Motors, that could be a buying opportunity, because the pharma space overall, I see that pressure at least for the next couple of quarters. So I really will not venture out and buy, I mean, even in this dip, unless, of course, the dip is huge. And I don't really think that that would happen.
Well, there are also two important events lined up tomorrow. The cabinet could be looking at taking a decision with respect to the textile sector, perhaps come out with a supportive textile policy tomorrow. Let's get in Mangalam Malu. He had exclusive details. Mangalam, what is the sector looking out for?
Indeed, so if Make in India has to succeed, there has to be a massive boost to the textile industry, and that is what we're expecting coming by in tomorrow's cabinet meeting, a revamped textile policy. Remember, the textile industry accounts for the largest exports after the IT industry in the country, so keep an eye out on the government's aim to achieve a higher number of exports from this industry itself. So the focus areas will be two. One is to achieve exports worth nearly $300 billion by 2025, which is almost 8 times what it is currently. At the same time, the policy would like to envisage creation of additional 35 million jobs by 2022, which is double of what it is right now. So this would lead to weaving a new future in which the focus areas in tomorrow's policy will be the first one, lack of skilled workforce that plagues the industry, so improving employability by skilling the new workers. At the same time, labor reforms are important as well. Remember, it's not the prerogative of the textiles ministry to do that, but they will make an appeal to the Labour Ministry to allow women to work in the nights as well, because 50% of textile labour force accounts of women. At the same time, they would like to improve investments and the future roadmap, for which we can expect announcements of new textile parks and new SEZs in areas like the Northeast, Bihar as well as Bengal. But keep an eye out on the fact that they would also like to reduce the transportation cost, which would improve the margins of these companies. There was a huge movement in all the textile companies in today's trading session, but watch out for the fact that all these policy objectives will yield results or financial results only after a couple of years. While they may make life easier for these companies, the benefits of that will be visible only after a couple of years. So any moves on these stocks right now are purely sentimental, and keep an eye out on the valuations as well.
I can tell you that since the days I used to track textiles as a reporter about 12 years ago, this ongoing push for labor reforms, letting women work in the night force, helping the garment guys, this has been on for over a decade. Let's see if we actually get any kind of meaningful announcement on this tomorrow. But the stocks were on fire today.
Right.
Are you interested in any of these stocks, even if it's just a mid-cap play, mid-cap flare for the time being?
One of them, which I've been recommending for a while, is Himmat Singha, which is basically into exports, and that to high value, high margin business. And that's anyway become a 6-7 bagger in the last 2.5 years. So I think this textile policy also would be a booster for Himmat Singha, so that I would continue to hold.
Okay.
But then at the same time, I think stocks like Century, Arvind, I think they would also get a boost. But then, like I rightly said, I mean, this could be just a sort of a trading
Sentimental
place,
sort of a-
sentimental play for the time being, because whatever said and done, I think it will take a while for it to get implemented.